Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Indie Corner Radio. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got an awesome guest here, Spencer Madison. How you doing, Spencer?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Spencer's been busy. Like you have a lot of stuff that you've been doing, and I've been sort of not stalking, but kind of checking out your page and seeing all and we'll get to a lot of that stuff because there's going to be a lot to talk about. But first off, I gotta know, like, how did you get into this business?
Gosh. So I guess it's a pretty simple story. I was a theater nerd growing up, and I was in the Missoula Traveling Children's Theater. I performed all over Ohio, and I did things like Snow White and Robin Hood. And once I reached high school, I realized that while I love performing, I think I realized pretty quickly that I have stage fright, and it's pretty late to understand, like to realize that you have stage fright in high school. But
Sort
yeah,
of, but well, like, were you doing it beforehand?
oh yeah.
So, and you didn't have stage fright.
No, I think I just found mortality or something in high school, and all of a sudden I was just very conscious of the fact that people were watching me like live in real time. And I went on to grab leading roles in my high school productions, but I started making my own content for a YouTube channel, and I realized that I would rather be on screen than on stage. So it was about 18 when I reached adulthood, right after high school. I kind of just dived headfirst into it.
Now, did you wait specifically just so you could be an adult and you could kind of choose that yourself and everything?
I always knew that I wanted to uh, be a Disney kid. I was really into that and like Nickelodeon and stuff. But I had to wait till adulthood because my mom, we lived below the poverty line for my entire life. So it just was unattainable at that point. So when I was an adult, I was able to make the decision for myself.
It's interesting because I had stage fright when I was like 13, like in middle school. And then I got into high school and, well, I took a year off and I missed it, Like I was like, oh man, I wish I did it, in eighth grade or whatever. So ninth grade, I was like, I'm going back to acting. So kind of feel the same way, but I don't know. I've always wanted to do film more than TV or theater. It's just happened to theater just happens to be the easier stuff you could do as a kid, you know. I'm sure you kind of felt the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I loved performing. I would put on shows in the living room for my family every single night, and I was singing and I was dancing. And I just, once I reached adulthood, I realized that the film community, especially the indie film community, is so, while it's large and it expands across the United States and beyond, in Ohio specifically, it was a very small community. And once you network with a couple people and you do a good job and you're a hard worker, your name starts to get passed around. And so, honestly, the easiest answer for how I got into this was networking.
So you kept talking with different people and they started saying to other people, you should work with Spencer. She's great. And it just kind of kept going from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess like because I've talked about it with other guests and stuff on the show, but I always love to kind of hear what people's thoughts are, especially actors' thoughts are on set behavior. Because I feel like sometimes there can be people who I don't know, maybe they've had a few roles that kind of give them a little bit of a head. Like how do you sort of handle dealing with people who might be a little out there on that?
you have to just be as professional as possible. I mean, I don't go out of my way to be friends with these people, or I'm certainly friendly no matter what. You have to keep a professional relationship with every single person that you work with, but I don't go out of my way to be friends with them because I I don't know. So I'm neurodivergent, which means I have problems communicating on a normal setting. And so if someone's like rude or they have a big head or they're overly confident or just really weird vibes, I just kind of avoid that altogether because I don't know. I'm probably gonna make it weird if I'm around that. So
Interesting. I so all right. So you sort of wow, what's that word you used? Like that was a big word.
neurodivergent.
Neuro. How did you figure out that that's what you were?
I was diagnosed with ADD when I was really young, and then into adulthood, autism. So it's kind of a progression of what I had already always assumed. So neurodivergency is like a divergence from being neurotypical.
Okay. Interesting. I've never that was a new word to me. So you learn a new thing on Indie Corner Radio. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's really cool though, because no, I like it when actors themselves are self-aware, you know? And I feel like in this business you really gotta be. Not just because of your characters, but just because of yourself, to help yourself or whatever. But it does help your characters, I'm sure, because then you can sort of bring something to it that's personal.
Yeah, I so growing up, being neurodivergent, you kind of develop what's called a mask, and it's kind of like a customer service persona where you try to be as normal as possible because society has deemed my behavior that um, I do to deal with the world um, unacceptable or just odd. So I've learned to create this mask, and being able to be different people, different characters is like another mask that I can try to be. And at first, I was a little bit weirded out by it. When I was a child and I was acting, I didn't quite understand that these different characters I was playing were just like different versions of me. And then when I became an adult and I wanted to be on TV and I wanted to be in the movies, I realized what great fun it is to wear these masks and to portray characters as authentically as possible, to challenge myself as an actor, new goals, new emotions, trying to portray. So it's all been a game for me, just trying to be as great of an actor as I can.
I'm sure you get this question some, but like what's been the most challenging?
Hmm. It's a good question. Yeah, I have had that question before. I would probably say my first leading role was a character named Izzy who suffered from depression and mental illness. And because of that, she was susceptible to being possessed by a demon. And so she was possessed by a demon. And the movie's called The Demons Within. Um,
Nice.
and it was very challenging. It was super challenging. I mean, I had to go to a really dark place and I was screaming and crying and crawling up walls and doing cartwheels downstairs. And I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff as a demon. And it was really
On the
challenging.
film, right? Not like outside of,
Right,
yeah,
right.
all
Yeah.
right.
Exactly. Yeah. Although I don't know, there was some weird stuff happening on that set. We probably accidentally summoned a demon, but
See, I've always been wondering about that because I wrote like a demon script, and then all of a sudden, like weird shit started happening, and I was
yeah.
like, okay, like, and I was all alone when I was doing it. I was like, this is not the right time to be doing this,
Oh my goodness.
kind of
Yeah,
freaks me out, because like,
absolutely.
especially if you look online and you try to find stuff. Sometimes you can actually find stuff that, I mean, I don't know, at least makes me feel like it might work, or something. I
Yeah,
don't know. Like, do you
absolutely.
believe in that stuff? Do you believe in demons and everything?
I don't know. Like maybe I just think that it's really personally, I think it's ignorant to think that we are the only types of energy on this plane. There's got to be demons, there's got to be ghosts, there's got to be aliens. Like all that stuff has to be real because we're real. What's to say those aren't?
Well, people could say like people made those up,
Yeah,
because,
but like thousands and thousands of years ago.
yeah, it's true. So for thousands and thousands of years, people have been talking about demons and other stuff, like the Bible had stuff about demon possession and stuff that literally said that. So I mean, I don't think we go by like the Bible's kind of thing, and even some of that might be translated wrong, or differently than what it actually is. Who knows?
Absolutely.
And the other thing is like when you look at the Bible, you know, and you think of because that's been written like so many years ago. Happy Easter, everybody. It's been past Easter by the time this is out, but you know, if you look in the Bible, like it's been written for so long that some of the some of the stuff that they wrote about, they didn't know the stuff we know now, like about, certain diseases and certain ways people react, like if
Yeah.
somebody might have been possessed, maybe they were just drunk, you know, and stuff,
Maybe.
and maybe
Yeah.
blacked out drunk, you know,
Yeah.
and we don't know like what, so we just kind of go by what they say, but and everything. Uh, but it's wonderful. It's a wonderful literature. I don't knock on the Bible. I'm just saying, like we look at it, from a different lens now, I think, because we know a lot more, about stuff. And who's to say, like in 100 years, what will they know about the world that we didn't know, growing up? So, it's weird to think, So that's why I don't do sci-fi movies because they're probably wrong, Like I don't write sci-fi because I'm gonna get it completely wrong and everything.
Right. Yeah.
So okay, so you've done like, are you into horror yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm a complete horror nerd.
Tell me, like, okay, everybody always says, what's your favorite scary movie?
Okay. Um, God, like I get asked that all the time, and it's always a different answer. So, my original favorite scary movie of all time was Scream.
The the one that said, well, what's your favorite scary movie? All right.
Yeah, so I was very young. That came out in 1995, and I was only two when that came out. So I think I watched it probably around 5 years old, and
Five? Your
yeah,
parents let you watch it at five?
I don't think they really had any control over what I was watching. I was such a nerd. I loved movies so much that I would watch whatever I wanted.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, now I feel so old. 'Cause like you're saying, I was five when Scream came out. I'm like, I was in high school. Like, come on.
My 30th birthday is May 6th.
Oh, happy early birthday. I
Thanks.
think this might actually be coming out around then, so perfect.
Oh, cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So anyway, so so you come out here and you kind of like watch horror, you watch Scream. Did you kind of dive into like the classics or like even ones that are sort of obscure?
Yeah, I really love The Birds and Eraserhead. I mean, like if we're talking classics, like I love black and white horror because I love learning how they made it. So like my favorite fun fact is that they used chocolate syrup for the blood.
In
Like
this Psycho, yeah, and
yeah,
stuff
that's
like that.
my favorite little fun fact about like old horror and
And you could still do that if you made a black and white movie, you know?
absolutely. The consistency is so good.
Can you imagine doing a black and white movie now and having chocolate syrup all over you? That would
It
be
would
fun.
it would not be any more sticky than it is now with corn syrup.
That's true. Corn syrup and like red dye, you
Yeah.
know.
And it would be better to in the mouth.
And that's the only thing about Scream that always kind of bothered me is when they're talking about, oh, Caro syrup, the same stuff they used in Pig's Blood and Carrie, and I'm like, wait, they used everything for, you know, fake
Yeah.
blood. Like
Yeah.
that's just the normal fake blood. Because I knew that back then when I watched it. I was like, hey, this isn't Karasip normal, you know? But it is kind of a cool fact that they used it for the pig's blood in Carrie. But you know, I didn't know that, I guess, at the time, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but that movie did kind of bring back the horror genre, which a lot of people don't really think about, but it it was dying at that particular time. Maybe not indie wise, but like studio wise, people were trying. It's people still studio wise, they don't want horror much. You know, there's very few studios that are doing it. You know,
Yeah.
um, because they can't win awards and but they should because it makes a lot of money.
Yeah, it
You know,
does.
yeah. So what's like so now that you do all these horror stuff, what's the first horror role you got?
The first horror movie I ever did, I guess it would be considered horror. It was a movie called How I Got Here, and it was this coming of age drama horror thriller where this young boy was growing up in a zombie apocalypse. And
Nice.
I was one of the leading roles with Jace Carson, who played the young boy, and then Dylan Hughes, who played my like co-lead. And it was really fun. I mean, it was more about like the humanity aspect or the lack of humanity in an apocalypse rather than about the zombies, which I thought was really interesting. And I mean, I guess that would be my first horror role because zombies are classic horror.
hmm Are you a zombie fan?
I like zombies. Yeah.
I'm not. I'm zombie comedies I'm okay with. Regular
Yeah.
zombies, after a while, I'm just like, really? You can't outrun the slow guys? Like the fast ones, maybe like Return of the Living Dead and stuff. But that's even more horror comedy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure you're a big Return of the Living Dead fan.
I like that movie. I mean, if we're talking about favorite zombie movies, I love Shaun of the Dead.
Yes,
It's one of my favorite.
100%.
Yeah.
A great movie. Is that your favorite like zombie movie?
No, I think Dawn of the Dead is my favorite. Not
Original or
not the
remake?
original, the remake. Yeah.
The remake? For real?
Yeah. Mhm.
Wow, everybody always says the original. I'm surprised. You
It's
know,
that
not
opening
that's a
scene.
bad thing. It's just it's the one that usually gets the attention is
Yeah.
the original. Do you think that's because it's the original and not because
I
it's the
think
rem
there's a lot of like weird horror gatekeeping where it's like you like the remake over the original, and I'm just like, yeah, I like the remake of Evil Dead more than the original, and that's true. I do. So
Yeah,
I
your gauntlet has been thrown down.
say
I like that. I like that because you don't hear it much, you know, and yeah, do think there's a lot of people that's, you know, and I kind of like I love the community, you know, the a horror community, but I feel like as in any community, there's gonna be people, different people, you know, that don't feel, you know, the same as others, you know, and they just want to start crap with other people about it. So it
yeah,
kind of sucks on that side, but I just don't engage, you know, generally speaking,
yeah.
you know. I'm sure you don't either, but maybe you do. Maybe maybe you get involved in that stuff sometimes.
No, because I've been told growing up that my taste in horror is bad, and that's because I'm like a hardcore Rob Zombie fan, and I personally don't like John Carpenter's Halloween. So when people hear about like my horror taste, they are just like, I'm not talking to you. And I'm like, that's fine. I'll like what I like. Like you can go be a weirdo over there.
Yeah. But what was it about the original I mean, do you like a lot of John Carpenter stuff or
Yeah,
was
I like Christine. I love Christine.
I love The Fog. Like that's like my favorite John Carpenter movie. Halloween, I'll admit it has its issues of like it's kind of a slow movie to me. And there are times where but that's a lot of that's character build up and of course I love PJ Souls and you know, always love her, but the first original one I think the remake I felt like they kind of dived too much uh into what made him. become the thing he is, which a lot of people like, and maybe you like that too. And I'm not here to shame anybody for liking that stuff. It's just not my thing, and everything.
Yeah,
I have to say that now. It's
I know.
sad, I have to tell people, I'm not shaming you for this. And I'm like, why? Like, ugh, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I just want to make sure people understand I'm not offending them at all, you know.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I get that completely. I mean, I think the reason I don't like John Carpenter's Halloween is that he was trying to like he steered away from the gore to allow the audience to kind of fill in those blanks and create their own nightmare. So like it was like an impending doom. It was very slow. And back then, I mean, when it comes to like, practical effects and CGI, like it was like not great. And when I look back at it as someone who grew up on things like Freddy versus Jason and Scream, like where like the gore is thrown in your face, 3D, I became so desensitized to it that when I finally watched John Carpenter's Halloween, I was super bored. And when it came to the remake, Rob Zombie's Halloween, I liked that they humanized Michael Myers because then when he started doing the bad things as an adult, it was so realistic that like this was like a young boy that you could have cared for and he grew up and he's murdering everybody. Like that was what made it scary for me. So yeah, that's my answer.
I'll agree. No, I'll totally agree with that. And actually, the more that I was thinking about it, I mean, I guess what I was saying before about like the fact that I didn't like the fact that they sort of showed too much into like what made him Michael Myers. I think I sort of like the boogeyman aspect from the original Halloween from John Carpenter's that because I think John wasn't expecting it to like I mean from what I understood he didn't want sequels. He was just this was just a thing, like he was just making one movie. That was it, you know. He shouldn't have left it open-ended then, where's Michael Myers at the end? He's disappeared. But like, I guess that was a kind of a Hitchcockian thing. And he's a big Hitchcock fan, which it sounds like you are too. So, um, that's why he cast Jamie Lee Curtis in the role because of Janet Leigh, but I don't know. I mean, there's a lot there that people can say, but it's all a matter of taste. Like whether you like something, I can't tell you you're wrong, you know, and nobody can, unless you change your mind, yourself. You know what I mean? And that's up to you. So I love that. My dad used to say, "Augustibus non est disputandum." Taste is not disputable. So I like that, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so, what would be like your dream role? Like, what would be the kind of role that if somebody came to you and said, Spencer, I'll do anything you want us to make, what would you do?
Oh boy. I've never been asked that before, but I think about things like that often if someone were to say that. And I would love to make or be in a movie where I'm like I would want to remake Twilight, but make it horror and make it gay.
Like a lesbian Twilight movie?
Yeah, but like definitely horror.
Okay, so it would be two girls fighting over one girl.
Yeah. Or a guy can be involved. I don't give a shit. As long as it's queer.
Okay, so it could be bi or whatever, or
It
any
could
of
be
the.
it could be two guys for all I know. I just like the representation of queer people in horror is evolving very much. Like, and I love what they're doing with the new Scream and like the core four and like that main character. I think her name's Mindy. And she's gay and she's has love interests. And I love that she survived throughout these two movies.
Spoiler alert. Jeez. No, I'm
Oh,
just.
it's been out a while.
It's been. I'm joking.
But I love where it's going. So if we can have horror movies where gay people aren't killed off as like a funny plot twist and keep it as like gruesome, wholesome as possible, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I don't know, because okay, we're gonna get into, sorry, if you haven't seen Scream 6, you're probably gonna hear a couple things now that we're gonna say. So get ready. You might have to fast forward. But because me and my friend did a review of it and everything, and I'm not entirely happy with what they did necessarily. There's a couple things like um everybody lived, when they kind of showed deaths that should have, people should have died, at least because even though there were the core four and that would have been, that was great. One of the brother or sister I felt should have died. And I think it was I felt like it should have been the dude because he got stabbed so many freaking times. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, they're making him the new Dewey, aren't they? They're doing that. Yep, he's the new Dewey. He's the one who's going to get stabbed every time. And then all of a sudden, I made it because he did it the first time. Did the second time. Oh, I'm like, if he does, I almost feel like if he doesn't die in in the next one, it's almost like they're just messing with us now, or whatever.
I mean, they always are in that franchise. There's always some weird meta like message or it's always about messing with the audience. And that's one of the reasons why I really love that whole franchise. And I'm personally a really big fan of what Radio Silence has done with the last two movies. And so this is going to sound so crazy, but I'm going to say this on a podcast because I want it to be freaking out there. I'm manifesting
I'm putting
this.
it on TikTok, whatever it is. It's gonna go on
Perfect.
there.
All right. I found Radio Silence's old Facebook page where they have like 1,000 likes and follows, and their email address was on it. And I emailed them right after that last Scream, five, right after five came out. I emailed them congratulating them. I was like such a fangirl. I was like, I'm such a fan. Like, this is amazing. And then I sent my headshots and they
Hmm.
emailed back. They emailed me back. So I know that they know who I am now. And then Scream 6 came out. And I emailed them again and I was like, congratulations, this is fucking rad. Like, you guys are killing the game. Here's my headshots just in case again, like a year later. But I think that they are just so famous now because they did not email me back this time. So
Oh,
Radio Silence, if you're listening, I want to be your opening kill for seven.
yeah. Oh man, don't be an opening kill. I mean, even though it's
No,
great,
no, I want to be the opening kill because it's fucking legendary.
it's funny because like I guess two of the people that were in, like there was a very famous actress that's in that's worked with them before. That was in basically the opening kill in a way, and this last one,
Yeah, it's
and
been that
then
weird. Yeah.
yeah, I love her.
Mhm.
And then the other two, the guys, were in it that got killed or whatever. I don't even think they're very famous. So you have a good chance that they do like a more like couple people, death scene, that it'll
Yeah.
be like that'll be the thing that gets you noticed and everything. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd love
I
that.
would I would fucking kill that role. I would first of all, Ghostface and I would duke it out first because I'm a fighter and I will not go down without some kind of interaction.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just think that being the opening kill, I don't even care about being like a main character, nothing. I just want to be the opening kill. I want to be the first thing people see when they freaking, turn that movie on, and I want to haunt their dreams for the rest of their lives. Like Drew Barrymore has haunted mine.
And in the first scene, that scene, wow, and you saw it when you're 5.
Yeah.
Jeez. I can't imagine seeing that like her being ripped open and like hanging, when I was 5. That would have scared me to death. Like,
Yeah. It
um,
was pretty terrifying. Honestly, I think the death that scared me the most though was Rose McGowan's in the
hmm
garage when she came, like when the garage door went up and like just crushed her body. That
hmm
is what scared me the most because we had a garage door that looked just like that growing up. And for years, I was like, I'm not even ducking under it. Like,
You're not even tucking under it. You're just you're gonna avoid. Let's just not go in the garage. Let's just go
nope.
around. You know, I get it. Also, like, just don't put your head through a doggy door. Like that's
If she could have, first of all, she could have fit. I don't know what that was.
First of all, she could have took one of those guys. I'm sorry. As much as
Yeah.
I love Matthew Lillard and blinking
Oh, Skeet Ulrich.
Skeet Ulrich. As much as
Yes.
I love both of them, Rose McGowan, man, she should have just. I think it was. I bet it was. I think it was Stu. It had to have been Stu because was it Billy was upstairs with
Yes.
Sydney at the time. So it had to have been Stu. She could have took Stu. She could have like jumped on him and just shoved him away and ran. And if she went right into the room, she wouldn't that Stu wouldn't have bothered her because he wouldn't have come after her on the ghost face with everybody around. They waited till everybody was gone before they, really started attacking
Yeah.
so uh I think she could have done it, but unfortunately she was scared and because she realized it was real and did the exact thing that Sydney was talking about earlier. Like she tried to run out the front door instead of, like running or whatever, running out the other way instead of running out the front door. I love that movie because it's just I'm into slashers. That's like my favorite genre,
Me too.
Yeah, that's good. I don't really hear a lot of people that are these days that are into slashers. I hear more like, well, I'm into paranormal stuff or I'm into demons and or creature features, or whatever. But get to find a fellow slasher fan. Um, Now, have you been in any slashers yourself?
Yes, I have been in a couple. My most recent would be Phantom Fun World, directed by Tori Jones.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was a really, really fun one. And my one of my favorite characters I ever played, her name was Collins. And she's basically the best friend to the final girl. And lots of things happen, and I'm just sliced and diced like Zorro. And Elsie Holt, who played the Phantom, was terrifying and just did an amazing job. I still have PTSD from just like, I mean, the whole movie took place in an indoor amusement park. So if I see like funny circus lights and like the colors like blue, green, purple, and red all together, immediately I'm like flashback to like 12 hours on set in this amusement park just covered in blood.
So you guys shot in like an abandoned amusement park or actual like working amusement park?
So we actually filmed in a place called Gaddytown in Kentucky, and it's a real indoor family amusement park and arcade. And they allowed us to film from 8 p.m. when they closed all the way until 9 a.m. when they opened. So we had overnight shoots in the amusement park.
Yeah, overnight shoots are just, I hate to say I kind of like them better than day shoots or anything like that. I mean, but I'm a night owl, so that, I'd rather sleep during the day and do everything at night. What do you prefer, night shoots or day shoots?
I prefer night shoots, honestly, because there's something really, especially on horror sets, because there's something very sinister about playing it out as if it were like in real time. And if it like when you're in a horror movie and it's supposed to be nighttime, but it's daytime and they have to like black out windows and stuff, it just feels different. And when it's actually nighttime, it's terrifying, especially when you're getting chased by a monster.
Yeah, that would be uh that would be more scary. Well, yeah, because most time, especially when you can't see shit in front of you and stuff, you're just bouncing and running and
Yeah.
I'm always afraid because if we do like night shoots, you have to be very careful that somebody could. We did a day thing, like it wasn't even a shoot, and somebody was running, and we're just filming him out running, and then he tripped and had to get like like stitches and stuff.
Oh my
And
God.
I mean it's scary. So you got to be careful with that insurance and stuff. But I'm sure you guys were all we're very cautious and careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Um, so like when you shoot a night shoot and everything, like this one, Phantom Fun World, did you get to ride the rides?
No, because we were secluded from certain things because of liability issues. So there was a scene where some of the characters got to ride bumper cars, but only in the allotted time for that scene being shot. So like we weren't allowed to even touch like the arcade games when they were closed down and stuff because of liability issues. And I mean, this is like a corporation that's allowing us to film when they're not there. So we just didn't touch anything.
That's still cool. I'm glad you guys got to shoot in an actual amusement park. I mean, that's pretty neat, you
Yeah.
know. The fun part about being an actor is when you get, there. I want to talk to you about auditions a little bit and everything. Um, some people enjoy doing them, some people hate doing them, some people are, whatever. Do you enjoy doing auditions?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
pretty
I audition for something probably every single day.
every single day you audition.
Yeah.
And what would you prefer? Because have you had in-person auditions yet?
Yes. So I actually love in-person auditions because it's easier to connect with the casting director. But self-taping is also really fun because when you're in the comfort of your own home or like your own home studio, you kind of let loose a little bit more. The nerves aren't there as much. And this is only speaking from personal experience. I've spoken to actors who absolutely cannot self-tape. They get incredibly nervous. But I love self-taping and I like in person though, I think a little bit better.
Yeah, I know. I get both sides, like people not being nervous and others being very nervous because I think it's different when you're self-taping, because then you're gonna have to judge yourself, before you send it out. It's not like the person seeing you and then she says, Spencer, you're perfect. You got the role, or whatever in person. Maybe that'll happen. Mostly they say thank you and you have no idea until they message you, right? But the I could see the other part of like looking at the audition and being like, oh God. I mean, are you very picky about your audition tapes?
No, this is gonna sound so bad, but a lot of the time, especially in the past year, I'll look back at like an audition or a self tape and I'll like kind of blush. And my first thought, and I usually say it out loud because I have no filter, is I'm so fucking cute. Because I try so hard and whether it comes across weird or whatever, I like you can tell that I put effort into every single thing I do. And that's something that I pride myself on is that I give 110% no matter what. I'm never taking an easy way. It's always like go big or go home. And so I can like look back at these tapes and I know why I made certain decisions and I stand by them. Like I've never looked at an audition and been like, "Oh, I wish I would have done something different."
Hmm, that's good. Because a lot of people have regrets every time, you see that
Yeah.
stuff. And so it's nice to hear somebody who, once again, it comes back to self-awareness, I believe. You know, it's the whole thing of like knowing who you are and what you can accomplish,
Yeah.
you know, and everything. So you're able to go out there and just make something you're very proud of, no matter what. Is there like a lot of preparedness? Like, when you get the sides, are you like writing things down and notes and everything, or do you just kind of go to it?
I prepare to a certain extent. Most of the time it's just memorization and I will practice maybe the scene a couple times before I start recording, but I don't know what it is. I have a great memory. I get sides and audition day of every single day, like no matter what. And a lot of it has to do with worrying that I won't have time the next day or like something will come up or anything could happen. So I get worried that I'll miss an opportunity. But my memorization has definitely not gotten any worse as I've gotten older, which is great because I mean, I've smoked so much weed in my life. I'm surprised that I can memorize anything.
You're surprised you still have your memories, your faculties there.
Yeah.
Or I think that's the right word. But yeah, what is it? That's the thing. I'm getting older, so my memory is completely gone. So I can barely remember what I ate last night, or whatever.
I
Um,
think like it. I do a lot of memory games, and I love board games, and I read a lot, so I'm always using my brain. And I think honestly, that's what it is because I'm always doing puzzles, or I'm on Duolingo learning Spanish, or I'm reading a book, or blah 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 blah. So I'm such a nerd. I think that it served my memory well.
that's good. So, would you be really good at that game Memory? You ever play that where you have to guess the colors or whatever, and each
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
you know?
like where there's like a bunch of different cards and you have to memorize where they are when they flip over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love that game's crazy. I can't do that because the one I play is like it lights up and then you have to press the button and then another one will pop up or whatever, and I'll be like, after a while, I'll just be like, which one did I push? And everything. So I'm very bad. I got a terrible memory. But I guess it's fine for me. It's enough. So let's talk a little bit more about the stuff that you're doing now. And what's the big project that's come out lately?
Wolf Hollow actually came out April 1st.
So it came out on April Fool's Day. Oof.
Yeah.
That's always like, to me, that's always a bad day to do things on because people are like, is this a joke? Am I gonna, is there not gonna be a movie here? But no, that's great that it came out on April Fool's.
Yeah, it did a premiere in Pittsburgh at the Hollywood Theater. I was unable to attend, unfortunately, but it was a great turnout. I mean, they had like the theater is ginormous, and they had like balcony seats and a regular movie theater area, and like the whole thing was filled to the brim. And now I haven't been on my phone in the past like hour and a half, so I'm not sure if the news that if I'm not sure if specific news has been released yet. But if you guys go to Mark Cantu's Facebook, the director, he might have said something. But there's big news on the horizon for Will Follow.
Okay, yeah, and this is gonna be out like in probably closer to May, so
Perfect.
probably might already be out, but
Perfect.
we don't know.
Yeah.
It's better not to say something before the director has announced what he has to
Yeah.
announce. But yeah, that's wonderful. I know it did really well. I saw freaking pop figures for everybody.
Yeah. That was cool.
So you had your own pop figure?
Yeah. I since I didn't go to the premiere, I wasn't able to see it in person. But one of my co-stars, Brandon Crumb, who played a character called Lucky Steve, he is mailing it to me. So I get it
Nice.
in person eventually.
Are those actually going to be sold or
I don't know. I have no idea.
because that would be cool. I
Yeah,
just I love that. I don't know like is that a like a real licensing or just that was just fun like Wolf Hollow fun.
Wolf Hollow is licensed, but I'm not sure. I know that the person who made them went through like a manufacturer, like, and I know that like they're real Funko pieces that are like made to be Wolf Hollow, but I'm not sure if they're going to be sold in like a GameStop, you know?
That'd be awesome, right? You go into a GameStop, just going in there, just checking out, and then you see yourself, on the display there. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mark, man, how's he as a director?
He's great. Yeah, he's very hardworking. I mean, he is making sure that everyone has what they need. He's just so attentive to the story. And I mean, he's the writer and the director, and he also DP'd it. So he knew exactly the shots that he wanted. He knew exactly how, he wanted it to flow. So he had a lot on his plate. And you could tell that he was tired, but he persevered throughout that whole time. And even beforehand, pre production, even post production, all the way until this premiere. I mean, I'm sure he needs to sleep for like a week. He has worked so hard.
You hear that, Mark? You need to sleep for a week, Spencer says it, so go do it. That's wonderful. Was there any like fun stories you have on set of that one?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. One time, like we were just waiting to start filming, and my co-star Christina, who played the main character Alex Romero, we went live on TikTok together, across from the room, and we were able to like promote Wolf Hollow on set, but like together, but also it was just a very, I don't know how to, it's very meta. We did a very meta thing on TikTok, and
Nice.
it was really fun. Um, I was covered in blood. That's always super fun. There's something
Hmm.
about me that directors are just like, you need to be covered in blood. And I never argue because I love it.
It's funny. Some people hate it. I hear actors that are like, "Oh God, I'm gonna have to be covered in blood," and I'm like, I mean, that's part of being in a horror film. I mean, if you don't like that, you might not want to do horror, which is fine.
Yeah.
Um, Now you are you obviously big horror fan and love doing this stuff, but are you interested in doing other stuff like comedies or dramas or anything like that?
Yeah, I have done a couple dramas. I did a drama recently called Fields Adrift. I played a character named Sandy who kind of helps this man who has a brain tumor or brain cancer, and he's going on this like existential trip. And she's kind of like this, like a guide halfway through his trip and
Like a tour guide kind of thing?
into his psyche. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting.
It was a really cool movie, and it's like really sad, and it's super well written. And here in a couple months, I'll be in a movie called Lavender Fields, which is another drama. And yeah, I love drama. I love intense emotion.
All right.
Um, so anything where I can like emote uh, it intensely, I love that. I also love comedy. I'm a huge improv actor, so comedy is. I've never done a comedy. I've never done a comedy, but I would love
You've
to.
never done a comedy yet.
No,
What
never.
the hell is going on? All right. Did you bring a ghost over here? Because my TV is just like freaking out right now.
I plead the fifth.
Just messing with you, but your name is Spooky Madison, so
True,
I don't
true.
know. It's just weird. My TV started. I look over and it's like it's on a Roku, so it's just going the Roku. I'm like, oh shit, did it get um what is it? Did the power go out? But that power did not go out. So I'm like, all right. And then the TV just did all switched all these different things. So I don't know. Weird shit. It never does that. As far as I know, it hasn't done that. Not with me around. So, you know, unless ghosts are watching shit when I'm away. I don't know. But maybe they were. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Remember, well, there could be ghosts. We don't know, you know.
Exactly.
Um, so to go back, yeah, well, that's wonderful. You've never done a comedy. That strikes me as crazy because I think you'd have a field day with a comedy, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would love to star in I guess what they're considered like stoner comedies. I would love to have been in like a Super Bad or a Pineapple Express type comedy. I really love this movie with Anna Faris. It's really old. It's called Happy, and it's basically she plays an actor who gets really stoned, but she's supposed to be going to an audition, but she's so high that she just like
I
can't
think
find
you mean Smile, right? Smile, I think.
smile. Yes,
Yes.
smile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just making sure because I think that's what I remember it being called. But yeah, no, that
Yes.
was a fucking great movie. I
Yeah. And
laughed my ass off.
I looked for it later in life, like probably 2 years ago, to try to buy it. It was like $60 on Amazon. It's like
Ugh.
a cult classic where very underground. Like when I talk about it, nobody knows what I'm talking about. So I got
Maybe eBay has it.
maybe
Um, I can. I'm gonna look real quick because I. Do you want it on Blu-ray or DVD?
it doesn't matter.
Okay. Let's see. Oh my goodness. All right. Never mind. All I'm getting is the new Smile.
Oh yeah.
That's all that's popping up right now. That's a completely different Smile, or whatever. I'll have to look it up sometime. If I find it for cheap, I'll send it to you so you can, see about getting it or whatever if you want, if it's something
Absolutely. Yeah.
you're still interested in buying. I remember I think I rented it on Netflix or it was like on a streaming thing or something. So I remember watching it and laughing my ass off. Anna Faris is one of my favorite comedy actresses. I think she's just so funny. You know,
Yeah.
her and Kaylee Cuoco are two of my like favorite, and they're both blonde. So,
Yeah.
kind of the kind of girls that I would love to work on a movie with them. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
could you imagine both of them in a movie together though? I think that would be nuts.
That would be pretty funny. I think that they would play off of each other very, very well.
And they're both different actors. Like they both do different, stuff
Yeah.
as far as comedy wise goes. And so I can see them being sisters, man. See, we got to write these things and then put them to Hollywood and then say, Hollywood, make it, because that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
That's what people think. So anyway, are you planning to write or direct at all? Or have you?
Yeah, I had my writing and directorial debut actually in February.
February. So what
Yeah.
did you do?
It's a short film. It's called As I Believe the World to Be. And it is about this vigilante type underground person. Her name's Elnora, and she is hired to do a specific job, and she does it, but she does it a little bit too well, and it kind of puts her in a predicament. It's a very short film, so it's open ended. Myself and the actors were kind of exploring the maybe the opportunity of using it as a concept and trying to make a feature out of it later on.
That'd be great, actually. Proof of concept. Yeah. How long was it?
It will be about 12 minutes. Right now, it's still in the editing bay. It's being color graded. We did some pickup shots last week or 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, it should be done, I think, by next weekend is the deadline.
What made you choose to do that for your short?
I had this script or this concept in my head for years, and I was supposed to do this competition called Winter Film, and unfortunately, we missed the deadline to turn the film in. And once we missed the deadline, I kind of decided that, well, the winter film had a 10-minute limit. And I was like, well, if we miss the deadline, we're going to make this as long as we need to for the edit instead of having to try to trim it down and trim it down. So it ended up being like 12 and a half minutes. And the winter film theme and prop for this year was percentages as the theme and a mechanical pencil as the prop. So I don't want to give too much away, but we've incorporated this into this crazy, like Scott Pilgrim versus the World slash Batman color grading. I don't know. It's very odd. I'm excited to release it.
You're an Edgar Wright fan, I see. Like Shaun of the Dead, and then Scott Pilgrim you're mentioning. I'm sure you're Hot Fuzz and the
Yeah.
At World's End and stuff like that. Yeah, he's and did you because this was your directorial debut, right? As a
Yeah.
short. So, did you were you sort of inspired by some of the old filmmakers you've worked with, or did you sort of, make your own kind of thing with what you were doing as far as directing?
I worked crew on a couple different feature films, and I realized that I needed a little bit more control or no control at all. And because I was AD, I was PA, I was grip, and it was just when I saw something that wasn't being done by like a director, it would be really hard for me to like, don't say anything because it's not your job. And if you say something, you need to word it very carefully to make it seem like it's this person's idea so that they don't fire you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I had the script. So we made the movie and I directed it and I had all the control. And I'm a complete control freak. Turns out I need to control every little aspect of every little thing. And I don't see a problem with that.
No, not at all. I don't see it at all either that as a problem because, especially when you're the writer, generally speaking, from my perspective, when I start directing something I'm writing, I'm also producing and I'm also doing million hats because, In fact, I've had to be told not to do things by other people because,
Yeah.
I want to make sure everything gets done right and everything. And I'm like afraid people are just going to mess up. I'm sure you sort of kind of have that in a way, where you want to make sure it's your vision, you know.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean, giving up creative control is hard. And I was just lucky enough to have a team and crew members who knew that this was really important to me. So what we have so far is really great, and it should serve well as a proof of concept. So I'm proud of it.
I mean, I know this is your first short and everything, but do you feel like you're a actor director? Do you feel like you're a technical director? Do you think you're just you? Like, is there a specific style you sort of go to?
I would see myself as more of a I mean, I like to focus on the actors, and I would hope that I could hire an assistant director who could focus on the crew, an assistant director who knows the shot list through and through, who knows why I'm doing certain things with the shot list, and like I, I as an actor who is then being a director, I want to make sure that my actors are portraying them correctly because like I said, I'm like a perfectionist, I'm a control freak. And I wrote this. So if my actor isn't bringing forth the emotion or bringing too much emotion to something, like I'm more focused on them than camera.
Yeah, but like, do you? How do I explain this? Like in the way that, like when you shoot something, when you shot the movie, were you sort of at all like saying, okay, I want the camera here, or do you like let your DP sort of handle more of where the camera would go?
I was pretty thorough in my shot lists. I mean, like it was as thorough as could be. It was over the shoulder on Elnora, medium shot, like purple lighting to on her back and green on her right. Like I was very thorough. So I kind of trusted my DP and my assistant director to focus more on that so I could focus on the actors.
That's good. That's good. I like that. 'Cause, like a lot of people, and me included, I hate doing storyboards because I've heard different people say you could use stick figures. I hate them because I still like I'm until I'm there on set, like I can't. My brain doesn't visualize it like that. I'm sure yours does, but mine doesn't. And so I need to be on set and see where things go. Then I can just, put everything together, the way I want it to go. As long as I trust my DP, to basically do that. It's hard when you're acting and you're directing. So you did that both, right?
No, I wasn't in it.
You
Mm-mm.
weren't in it. Okay,
Nope.
good. So that's good. Sometimes people tend to, especially actors, tend to act in their first film too, which I highly recommend not doing.
Yeah.
I've done it and it you're focused on acting and not on directing exactly at times, or whatever. You can't see what's going around, where the shot is exactly. So I would always suggest actors if you're trying to do that, but people aren't going to listen if anyway. They're going to do what they're going to do. So what advice would you give like a new actor that wants to come up and or like be in something?
I would focus on networking. I would focus on the idea of what someone's going to say about you when you leave a room, how you're selling yourself, if you're selling yourself too short, if you're being too cocky. I would focus on who are you going to be in this industry? And when you find that out, make sure that you're networking with like-minded people, people who share your values, people who share your drive and your motivation. Because there's a lot of like very green filmmakers who don't understand the hard work that goes into it, and you'll have a terrible time on set with them because you're more experienced. You've been on hundreds of more sets than this green filmmaker has, right? And they're
Hmm.
just doing everything wrong. But you have to you have to learn how to, first of all, deal with that professionally. Second of all, learn how to weed out those situations if you don't want to be in those situations. I mean, any new actor should just try to get as much work as possible to build a reel, because without a reel, nobody's going to look at your stuff.
And you
Like,
have a reel that's out there.
yeah. So it's crazy because my reel is based off of these projects that are just so small, and they're like CCAD film student thesis films. And there's like one feature film on there that barely made it out alive, like barely even got released. And there's all these little
It
tiny clips.
escaped. I think it
Yeah.
released escaped.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, my reel is in, it's because I've done 6 feature films in 2022.
wow.
So none of my new stuff is out. So this reel that I'm like sending out to casting directors, thankfully, is getting me work. But like, if I didn't have that, I mean, I just had a director, Scott Hansen, who did Forest Hills,
Mhm.
with Boy Duvall. He just reached out to me and he was like, "Where can I see your work?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have any to show you because all of these films just got done." So like, Wolf Hollow was the first one out of all of them to get released.
But that
Um,
has a trailer at least, right? You're on the trailer, right?
I didn't make it in the trailer, even though I'm
Oh,
this ensemble like lead. I didn't make it in the trailer because my character goes through some pretty crazy shit. So like, they couldn't show it.
oh, dang, that sucks.
Yeah. So my I would, as a new actor, I would focus on getting work, making a reel, networking with like-minded people who share your creativity, your drive, and your motivation, figuring out who you want to be in this industry, how you're going to present yourself, and stay as humble as possible. I mean, you can be confident, you can feel good about yourself, you can feel good about the things that you do, but that was my cat. But but be humble and be grateful and be appreciative.
Well, that's great. I always hear actors talk about how hard it is. Like it's almost like, um, it's one of the hardest things to get filmmakers to send them stuff for their reel and everything. Have you found that hard too?
Only with one of my projects did I find difficulty getting material for my reel. But I mean, sometimes you just have to wait because a lot of to the times, like, things are getting color graded, or they're doing Foley work and post production, and you just can't have that material. First of all, you signed a contract, and you can't ask for material early because you signed a contract stating you're not going to get it until a certain time. And I mean, it's a waiting game. And if you don't want to wait, make your own quality content, put it on YouTube, make sure it's got good picture, good sound, good quality, and you can make that your reel. Do monologues, post
Mhm.
that. Like, that's a reel, as long as it's showing your ability and your talent.
I made a producer's reel once, and somebody's like, "What the hell is a producer's reel?" And I was like, "I was making reels of everything at the time, why not? But yeah, you don't usually see that because producers are generally, the ones making everything, so they don't really need that. But then I'm like, hey, it could attract other people who want me to produce their work, I guess. I don't know. I
Yeah.
made a director's reel, I made an actor's reel. So why not a producer's reel? Didn't make a writer's reel because, that's just maybe that's pushing the line. I don't know.
It would have to be very clever dialogue, like
Yeah, and I don't
it's a
think I've written
very,
anything I'm proud of as far as like I mean I'm proud, but I'm not, like the thing that will launch me into wherever hasn't happened yet, and I know that, you know. So at least, you know, I'm aware of that because if I wasn't, I would think, oh man, I'm the greatest. I know, like you said, stay humble. And I think sometimes that's the hardest thing in this industry, especially when people are, because this industry is so fake in a way. Like, I'm sure you know this, but like a lot of people will say, oh, that was great, because they don't want to hurt your feelings because they want to possibly work with you again or something. And they don't want you to go, oh, well, I don't like that guy because they just told me that my stuff sucked. But then when it goes nowhere, I'm like, why do all these nice people say all these, nice things to me? It's because, we need real people to tell. And I feel like you're a real person. Like, I feel like if I gave you something and said, check this out, you would be like, yeah, then that needs some work, or whatever, like,
So it's funny that you say that because my agency, I'm represented by Heyman Talent, which is like a really big agency on the East Coast. I work in their Columbus, Ohio office as their audition coordinator. So I'm working directly with essentially my competition, but I am the audition coordinator. So I record, I edit, and I submit their auditions for them. And I have the qualifications just from my experience in the industry, but also like it's in my job description to say, you're not delivering this dialogue correctly, or you're not doing it enough, or this, and this. So like I would hope that someone was honest with me no matter what. Like I know this industry can be fake, but I mean I had an issue on a set recently where I thought I was doing well, but the director was like, well, you're not giving me what you think you're giving me. And I was like, give me specifics. Like, you need to tell me what you need and I will give it to you, but you're not communicating. And thankfully that was resolved. But yeah, I would hope that everyone is really honest, especially with performers, because we're making fools of ourselves, you know?
mm-hmm.
Our face, it's our name that's out there. And I mean, tell me if I'm doing something wrong so that I can fix it.
Yeah, tell me if I'm wrong, you
Yeah.
know. Um I like that. Like I used to hate it, because I had a really bad incident that happened very young in my writing. I think I was like 20 and which sounds like old actually, when it comes to like writing, but like that was when I was like starting to take things seriously, you know, and I sent my script. It was called Amusement and it was about vampires in an amusement park, It's my first script and I was so proud of that thing. Like I couldn't wait to somebody to read it. And Stu wrote it and he said he was going to give me notes and he gave me notes on every page, like 5, 6 notes on every page, right? And then by page 30 or 20 or some 20, 20 something, 30 something, whatever, he goes, I can't read anymore. This is terrible. You suck. You are like he wrote, you should never write anything anymore, you know? And that hurt so bad. And looking back at it, I'm like, maybe his approach wasn't the nicest approach, but in a way, like it did teach me something. So I kind of learned, from it, which was that, not to give that guy my stuff anymore because apparently he doesn't like my writing style or whatever, but also because, um, you know, it was harsh and probably some of the stuff he said was true. I don't remember and I don't have it anymore, sadly. I wish I did. But it's went bye, but and then the next script I wrote took me like a little bit longer before I did it because I was too afraid, you know.
Yeah.
And so sometimes real, honest truth can be hurtful. Some of it cannot be constructive. And I like to hear constructive stuff. Like he didn't have to write it like that. He could have been like, "I'm sorry, man, I'm just gonna get through it." But keep working on maybe your next script will be better. That's what what you got to say because I feel like if you tell somebody never to write again, it'll do two things. It'll either make them never want to write again or it'll do what it did for me, which was make me want to write more, because I'm like, screw this guy. I'm gonna do stuff and I'm gonna,
Yeah.
and everything. So, I mean, whatever. I'm sure you feel the same way about things. What was the harshest note you've ever gotten? Do you know? Do you?
Yeah. I remember it very vividly. It was after an incredibly intense and emotional scene. And I had asked for, I was, once it was done, I should have asked on set, but like once it was done, I asked, like, I hope I gave you what you wanted. I'm really proud of tonight. This was so much fun. And the response was, you didn't do what you thought you were doing. Like something like along the lines of like your voice didn't match your movement. So like I was emoting, but I wasn't matching it physically.
Well, why didn't he do that? Like, why didn't he call cut and come up to you afterwards and say, "Can you do it differently now?" Was he?
It was just it was an intense day, like regardless, and we were all very tired. It was like day 7, and it was just there was a lot of factors going on, and so I don't fault him for the way that he said it at all. I just wish that it was said when we were shooting, because now when I look back on those scenes, I'm just like, damn. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I guess I could have done like that a little bit differently, or but like I thought I was doing well. And had he never said anything, I would have been like, damn, that's it. Like that looks great. But he said something too late. So now it's like stuck in my head, like, well shit, you know?
So now you see it and you're like, that's all you have in your head is thinking, well, that I could have done this better because, and
Yeah, and that's
may
not something I usually feel. I'm usually like, very confident about my performance. And to be honest, like I don't watch anything that I'm
you
in.
do, see, I was going to ask you about that because I thought you would. I don't know. That's what I figured, you
No, I
know.
don't watch anything. I couldn't make the Wolf Hollow premiere, and I was bummed because I really wanted to see my co-stars and I wanted to like do the Q&A and stuff afterwards, but
Mhm.
I would not have stayed in that theater. I would have gone to a bar across the street and eaten dinner or something. I absolutely hate it. As soon as I am on screen, I want to cry.
I get that from a lot of actors. But I think and maybe this will change for you if you start filming more stuff, and especially if you have to like more you shoot like your own movies and stuff, and maybe stuff you if you start putting yourself in the movies, you'll start doing that because I used to hate seeing myself, and then when I started directing myself and everything, I loved seeing myself because I could see, because I had to. So, putting the movie together. But I feel like it's a different approach when you become like a filmmaker, putting yourself in your own movies. But since the only thing you've directed, the short you directed was something where you weren't acting in it,
Yeah.
is a little
I,
bit
I
different.
was I was in it, but I was in like the corner of the scene and I actually wasn't supposed to be in it.
You
And when
just, it
I
was an
saw the
accident.
footage, yeah, and when I saw the footage, I was like, shit, like I'm in it. But then it looks fine because we're in a bar and I'm just like I'm sitting at a table with a glass of water that and one of the actors, like we did a shot and I realized I was in it and I was like, God damn it, like I have to move. And then my DP was like, no, just stay there. Like that's an empty space. Just stay there and I'll have one of the actors come and bring you a glass of water or something because she was playing a bartender. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm in it. I'm like, I have like this tiny little like Stan Lee moment. And that's all I needed. Like that's
Or
all I wanted.
that's your Hitchcock. That's your Hitchcock moment too.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. Now people, all right, everybody, when you guys go watch your short film, you got to look for Spencer. Where is
Yeah.
she?
Take a shot. Take a shot when you see Spencer.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I've always wanted to do that, but then I'm like, but then I start doing the Stan Lee thing where I just act in it, like have like a role in a line,
Yeah.
because I don't know. I don't like to just, I might one day just have it where I walk by, or whatever. But nobody can do that better than Hitchcock, and from what I understand, he actually would do it where he would show up like 35 minutes into the movie. Now he shows at the end or later, he would in his career, he would show up early, like the first 10 minutes, because everybody would be looking for him instead of watching the movie, where's
Yeah. And night Shyamalan did that too. He's like always in like a weird like he was just like a knock at the cabin, he was the newscaster at the very
right.
end of the movie. So like he does his little moments too.
M. Night has a very Hitchcockian like love, and
Yeah.
stuff. But unfortunately, I did not see Knock at the Cabin. I saw Old and was not my thing, not my cup of tea. And M. Night's kind of like that, where there's some movies like I love Split. Like I think that movie is phenomenal. But then I really didn't like the next one he did. That was a sequel to Split. Can't remember the
Oh,
name.
was it a glass or
Glass. Yeah, I
yeah,
just wasn't. I felt like sometimes, when you do a sequel, sometimes you ruin like the drive of it, and because
yeah.
you have a different vision of where you want that to go than what maybe the audience are thinking. And I think I thought more superhero, and he thought more psychological drama, which a lot of people like, but wasn't my like hope for it. I know I was like, oh man, it's gonna be like M. Night's gonna be the new Marvel, like but it didn't work out the way I wanted it, that I thought it would. But anyway, it was cool. Like I like him. I like uh who's your favorite director?
I love Wes Anderson.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. I don't know. Bottle Rocket is great.
Yep.
Rushmore is fantastic. And Royal Tenenbaums and all it just gets quirkier and quirkier as it goes. I mean, I
Yeah.
hated Life Aquatic, so I don't know. Maybe that's
I didn't like Life Aquatic. I'm thinking of more like in terms of the symmetry of the shots, which could very well be his DP and not Wes Anderson at all.
hmm
But there's the symmetry that follows like in his movies just like is so aesthetically appealing to me that like I can't look away.
like I've heard everybody, talk about Grand Budapest Hotel as like it's one of the best movies, of all time to some people.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it, but just because I don't know, after Life Aquatic, it just left a really bad taste in my mouth, and I've avoided his movies because I just think he's pretentious a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love the beginning of his career.
Yeah, the beginning was great. I mean, he was like, I feel like he kind of came out of nowhere and then like fell off weirdly and then came back really weird, like really quirky.
Yeah,
But
he
I
kind
mean,
of did.
yeah, but for him, I just really like the symmetry in his shots. Love Wes Craven. Number one is probably Wes Craven. I'm really into Ty West. So,
Uh, Ty is amazing, and
yeah.
yeah, we just did for 90s horror films. We reviewed no, horror film lovers. We reviewed what is it? House of the Devil. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, fantastic
Yeah.
movie. And I mean, of course, X. I want to see Pearl and haven't seen that yet, but and there's that new Maxine, which is supposed to be
Yeah.
apparently they've been talking about it like it's going to be better than the first two. So I don't know.
I don't
Like,
know. Maybe. I mean, all of them are in a different timeline. I mean, X was in the 70s, Pearl was in like the 30s or 40s, and Maxine will be in the 80s. So,
yeah, that's gonna be kind of cool to
yeah,
see all that stuff. Like, especially if you did it like in kind of timeline order. I'd like to maybe one day see that sort of all together, as like a marathon. That'd be
yeah.
interesting. Triple feature. I love he was in Your Next, which Elsie Holt was in.
Hmm.
So did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so before you met Elsie,
Yeah, I didn't know that was Elsie because he was wearing the mask, the
right?
lamb mask. But um, yeah, I watched that a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a great movie, and Elsie was wonderful. Like I met him at a horror convention, and he was just the most down to earth, chillest dude like one of the chillest dudes I've ever met. And and I love horror now. Well, I mean, I've always loved horror, but I love horror where it's going right now.
Mhm.
As far as like more mainstream, like Terrifier 2, which was not mainstream, made a lot of money, for the box office, which makes indie films be able to raise money because they can use it as an example of, it's kind of a fluke. Like nobody was expecting it to do like that, but that means that any investor has a chance to do that. And
Yeah.
so you're going to see a lot more bigger, hopefully 100,000 to higher. Now, are you a big supporter of like Indiegogo and the crowdfunding stuff?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, every movie that I've been in has had an Indiegogo at some point, whether, I mean, I came on after it had ended or if I'm helping promote it now. I mean, um, I'm in a movie, Coffin Tooth, who has an Indiegogo going on right now.
Yeah, with Matt Cloud. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. And then I'm in another horror movie called Placid Park which is Roman Jassart's newer movie.
Nice.
And they have an Indiegogo going on. So yeah, I am a huge supporter of Indiegogo. How else are you going to feel like you're literally a part of the filmmaking process than giving $25, but also like getting a Blu-ray in return,
Mm.
or paying $500 and being considered an associate producer, and you're literally helping produce and fund this movie. I mean, that's crazy. That's great.
To me, one of the coolest ones are like when they have like the uh you pay like $500 or whatever you be associate producer, but you're also like a missing person,
Yeah.
picture, and stuff like that. That way, we did that for a couple of projects that we produced, and we didn't have a missing persons, but we did put a guy in a picture in the frame and everything, and everything like that. So I think it's an amazing thing. And then you become friends with the people who are doing it. And a lot of them continue to support indie films and whatnot because they just really love it. You know, they love the camaraderie there. So what's next for you?
So I am right now for the next month just kind of focusing on my agency job where I'm the audition coordinator, helping talent get to where they need to be and helping them audition. And then in May, obviously, I'm turning 30 and I'm going to Vegas, so I have like a whole month of hardcore working with talent, a week of being in Vegas, and then immediately going to film Placid Park. And then
Nice.
right after that, fingers crossed that I get a role in a specific movie, um, dream role, and hopefully I get it. And that would fill May. I would go from Placid Park directly to this movie, and then I have Coffin Tooth and Lavender Fields and The Boy from Below, which is Tori Jonestown's new film, and then Midnight Maniac in November. So I'm stacked.
You have a lot of stuff coming. You said, I think you said like you have 6 films that are in like post-production right now,
Yeah.
right? That, once they're done, you'll hopefully be able to put them in your reel. So I think by next year, hopefully, you'll have some more things to put in your reel so that your reel, looks, I mean, no, no, I haven't seen your reel, so I can't say anything. But it seemed like you were saying it wasn't as, like you wish that your newer stuff were out there right now, you know?
Yeah, I mean, my reel is very cinematic in a way that's like I don't know how to describe it. It's just old stuff, and but it's like cinematic. I have like really amazing music behind it, and there's like these bits of dialogue that I'm doing. And I mean, I made the reel myself, so as a perfectionist, I was like, I know it looks good, but this time next year, my reel is going to be completely different, and then by 2024, my reel will be completely different again because all these movies I'm in this year are going to be coming out. So it's a never ending process of just updating a reel.
Yeah, sometimes you have to update like 3 months and
Yeah,
6 months or whatever, and not a year because, you get new content, you want to put it in there because it's fresh,
yeah,
and everything. So wonderful. And do you edit your reels yourself?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Some people do, some people get an editor. So, that's
I mean,
wonderful.
I'm an editor like for my job, so like I'm pretty versed in like how to put stuff together.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. You could use, well, I guess that is your job. So, but I could say you could like freelance on the side and be like, hey, I can make your reels. Don't want to give you more work to do because I know you're already stacked. You're already busy. You just said you got all the way to May. Oh, past May, right? And stuff.
November.
November. Jeez.
Mhm.
That's just busy, 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 which is wonderful. And I thank you that you have the time to actually come on this show and chat with me and everything because like you said before, I think you said before to me that you love doing the podcast, but finding the time even for this was kind of hard, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know. I have one more podcast that I'm doing mid-April, and then like I'm just gonna have to take a break, which sucks because I'd love to promote it. I'm sure once like all the other movies come out, like PR is gonna be like, you need to do this, this, and this. But until they tell me I have to do something, I'm sleeping.
And you're sleeping. You're like, I'm gonna rest. Just like Mark needs a rest. You need a rest, you
Yeah,
know? Like
yeah,
people don't realize how much like because uh filmmakers they spend the whole year or longer working on the project, getting it to the best it can. Actors spend like the whole year doing multiple projects, and everything. Sometimes like a whole 12, one a month, if you're able to. And so that's just a lot of work, you know.
yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah, but we're happy to have you, and we're happy to have you on the show. So thank you so much. How can people reach you? How can people connect with you?
So I have a public Instagram. It's the Goodbye Ghoul, kind of a play on the rom-com, The Goodbye Girl. Um, and I'm public on there. You can DM me, like my stuff. I'll follow you back most likely. My Facebook, Spooky Madison, that's my public actor page. I think, maxed out on friend requests for my personal page. So unfortunately, you can't get me on there, but that's probably a good thing. Um,
Yeah, because your acting page is really where you want, because people can still contact you through there or whatnot, you know.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have a website?
I don't. I'm featured on my agency's website, heymantalent.com. I also have an IMDb, Spencer Madison, but I don't have a website. So
Oh, well, there you go. Well, maybe one day, I mean, soon, maybe, because you'll
maybe.
have so many things to promote and everything, and you'll have like, I have a website and I have not updated in like, God, I don't know, long, way too too long, and so I need to update it probably soon. But you personally, I bet I could see you doing that. And do you have a TikTok or anything, or?
Yeah, I forgot. I always forget I have a TikTok. I post things on there, but then I forget about it like immediately. Um, I'll actually hold on. Let me look to see what it is because I can't remember what my username is. It's something probably stupid. I'm not gonna lie.
Isn't that the Goodbye Ghoul as well?
No,
I
it's
like that though. I wasn't the Goodbye Girl with Richard Dreyfuss, if I'm correct.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep. So my TikTok is Moody B. Jones. It's a play on a book series called Junie B. Jones, and it was like my favorite book series growing up. So
nice. And you used my last name, so there you go. You
there we
know, I'm
go.
I'm happy about that. I'm okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't in a negative light because a lot of times people are like, "You're so moody," and I'm like, "Hey, what's wrong with that?" You know,
Moody's a rad last name.
I hated it growing up. I'm not gonna lie, hated it because I got
That's so
teased.
cool.
I got teased so much with it, and then my like gym teacher would call me Moody or all the time, and I'd be like, like
Yeah.
just makes me sound like I'm in a bad mood all the time, or some junk, but it probably was, so that probably did fit, but I don't know. It's middle school, so I don't not my greatest years, I'm not gonna lie. Um, but I'm glad you're here out there making stuff and everybody's able to see the work that you're doing and glad you got to go into directing because I think that's really neat, you know. I always sort of ask people if that's something they want to do, and some people completely want to do it, and some people don't want to touch it at all and stuff. They just want to concentrate on acting, and more power to you, no matter what you want to do. As long as you are true to yourself, you know. I think that's wonderful. But I do love seeing everybody out there making movies, no matter who they are, what they're doing, because we need more content for me to watch and review. So
Yeah.
for Short Film Saturday, we'll review your film
Oh boy. Okay.
if you want, if you like, if you want us to. Yeah,
I
send it.
mean, yeah, it's gonna have to start getting reviewed anyway. I'm just like, I'll send it to you and then you can like post it, but I probably won't watch it. It's
Oh,
like
the
watching my
review.
own content. Yeah.
Do you check the reviews of the movies that you're in? Do you ever like,
No.
because you're afraid people are gonna say, "Oh, that's Spencer Madison."
I
She,
just I'm like I'm on Facebook and I post really stupid memes and I'm on Instagram and I'm promoting the movies I'm in, but like I don't I don't like the idea of having haters. That is
come
terrible.
on. I don't think anybody could hate on you,
I
you
don't
know?
know. I mean, I have a pretty evil ex, so
Well, I
who
mean,
knows?
that's a different thing because everybody's got that, you
Yeah.
know. But or I mean, sometimes you just got people you might have rubbed the wrong way, but like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like they're not reviewing your films necessarily, I don't think.
No, but like as an actor, I am a people pleaser. So I just like I don't look at reviews. I don't look at my own content. I don't like, I just separate myself. I give you what you want as a consumer and I go about my day.
And you move on. You
Yeah.
go to the next project or whatever. That's a good way to look at it because, I guess I once again I'm different just because I do stuff, like I do a little bit differently than you do with everything. But I think that's wonderful because I'm sure there are people who are kind of a mixture of both of us, and
Yeah.
everything. Everybody's
I
different.
I Googled myself once and I found my like this like article or something and it was totally wrong. First of all, it was talking about how I was a Broadway actor and I was like, who wrote this? Because I've never been on Broadway. But that was enough. I like Googled myself and I was just like, this is weird. And then I just shut my computer off for the night.
Uncle Google scared you.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. We reviewed a movie, and I mean, Indie Film Cafe itself, is pretty. The show that I do, we review a lot of older films, mostly some newer, but mostly older, and mostly older because not a lot of people are checking them out or whatever, and we just want to give some props to the movies we or we look at it at a different light now. We're older, we might see a movie we liked, and then we look at it like, oh, this is not as good as we remembered it. And we do a stinkometer, and that kind of, I think that's the thing that like pisses a lot of people off because we do 1 through 10, 10 being stinky,
Yeah.
and everything, and people are just like, you're calling my movie stinky, and I'm like, but we like stinky movies,
Yeah.
like, I mean. I guess other people think of it like you're just making fun of the movie. And some guy disagreed with us. And on Tuesday, we're going to have an interview with him. And that is going to be interesting because me and my co-host are going to chat with him, and he's apparently going to be yelling at us about how we were wrong on our views on the film. And I mean, we were honest, what we thought. We didn't call him a Broadway actor, so I don't think we were wrong.
Yeah.
you know, on that stuff. But who knows? Maybe we were wrong, and that's fine. We're human. We all make mistakes. And the thing is, if he says something that makes us go, you know what, you're right, you know, we'll admit that. We're not going to change our score, but we'll admit it,
Yeah. Yeah.
or whatever. But it's nice to have people who come on the show and kind of most of the time people don't care, like it's getting the movie out there, even if it's, negative,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. So I always think bad press is still good press because any press is good press, for you.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you so much. I really appreciate this. And everybody go check her out, check her TikTok, check her Instagram, see all the stuff you're doing. I mean, I'm sure you got your reels on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I have like a link tree. So like any of my social media, you'll see this like link tree link and it has my reel and I was in a music video. It has all this different stuff in it. So
That is awesome. So go check her out. Check her link tree. Sounds really weird to say, but check it out. and support Spencer because she's one of those people out there that's just continuing to do shit like all the time. I'm in awe of all the stuff that you're doing and everything, and all the networking you're doing. I see, because you and I have a lot of the same friends and see a lot of the talk, and I'm like, how do these people know these people? But I'm like, it's very simple. Add these people because they're, you'll see that they have like a million mutual friends, and we all know each other, and we all should be helping each other out you know
Absolutely. Yeah.
um and Scott Hansen, hire her because I know Scott's actually a Virginian boy, so he needs to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
hire you. He's out in Georgia trying to get me to go out to Georgia. That ain't
He was
happening.
trying to get me to go out to Georgia too, like on my birthday, and I was like, I will literally be in Vegas
Yeah,
drunk.
Vegas, don't leave Vegas. I was
Yeah.
in Vegas for 2 days and I wanted to stay there, but it was
Yeah.
when I was going to moving to LA, and I was like, I think I'd rather go to LA, than that. But I'm just saying, I wanted to stay there longer because it was a fun town. Wouldn't want to live there, but would definitely love to have like a week vacation there at some point. Is that what you're doing, a week or just a weekend?
It's like 4 days.
4 days?
So yeah.
Yeah. Go gamble. Go have fun. You know?
Cool. We'll
Yep.
see.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And everybody, check us out next week. We'll be with a brand new episode. And up until then, everybody, have a good one. Bye.